Dear friends, heartily welcome to Night Talk Berlin. Today with a very special guest, Eduardo Bolsonaro from Brazil. He is a networker of populism. He is now in Europe because he visited the CPAC in Budapest and now here in Berlin. Welcome, Eduardo.
Thank you, Peter. It's an honor, a pleasure to be here in Germany. Such as just for 24 hours, but it's still a pleasure to be here for your invitation after the great CPAC that we had in Hungary. It was very nice to be around a lot of other conservative people. So good to be here with you.
I am happy that you are here with us, with our audience, in spite of you are so shortly in Germany, in Berlin. Please tell us, how was CPAC? How was in Budapest? Who was there? How is the networking of conservative parties working?
It's very good because we look Hungary as an example. They defeated communism and all of this woke agenda. So in a lot of places like Brazil, we still debate how to win this war. So when you go to Hungary, as they have Viktor Orban there, not only since from 2010, but also that he was in the past also prime minister and lost a couple of elections before getting back again in power. So it's a perfect case to you learn how to defeat, all of the low-level strategies that the left have. For example, in Brazil, I know that this virus is going all over the world. The censorship is going like crazy. Now we have a case that...
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but before we come to Brazil, just let me ask. So you think that Viktor Orban is a role model for the rest of the world, for the other parties in the conservative movement, yes?
Yes, for sure.
We saw it, because this is not known. Nobody in the mainstream media is communicating this, but he is in fact the most successful political leader in Europe. He won elections 3 times after each other, and every time he got 5% more. So it shows that his people love him, trust him, they want him even more and more. So this is what the mainstream media do not mention.
And they are doing great, like in life quality of the people, criminality, that for me you have very close connection with the immigration policies. At least looking from outside, from Brazil, we see that a lot of other countries like Germany or France, they are suffering more and more with terrorism, with regular crimes.
This is very interesting. People in Germany don't know how is the view from outside on Europe and especially on Germany. So what the majority of Brazilians think about us, about our policy?
I'll be very honest with you. We do not understand why you are doing that.
What?
Why you are not controlling the borders? I mean, if someone go to your house, you know who it is, you know who you are inviting and all of that. You do not invite a stranger to go inside of your house. Your country is your house. Why would you let anyone come to your country? And especially the kind of people that is now coming, like males, adults, and they want to change the culture.
Sure.
What is that? Even Arab leaders, as the Chancellor of United Arab Emirates and some other from Bahrain and other places, they are criticizing Europe because of that. Because sometimes the wrong thing is people think that the people that is coming here is regular Muslims, and no, they're extremists. This kind of people, if they were living in Bahrain, UAE or Saudi Arabia, likely they would be in jail. But here they're on the streets.
Here it's totally opposite. Even if they rape some kids and if they're committing crimes, our justice is very mild. Very often they declare, well, they have some psychical problems, we cannot put them into jail, and just let them put them into psychiatrical care, stuff like that.
This is just weird, because the problem of someone like that is not that, I usually say that a criminal that can shoot you or can kill you to get your card or your cell phone, doesn't matter. This is not a psychological problem, it's a problem of values. Like, this guy is not going to fix himself if you offer to him a job, for example. This is not his problem. His problem is he needs values. That's why it's so important, the parents' heritage, the family, the church. Né? And as we see nowadays, the woke agenda and the left-wing authorities, they go deep into the schools to educate the next generations, trying to change their mind, to view the things different in the world.
But isn't it crazy that the leftists, who for decades they fighted for women's rights, you know, for equality between women and men, they are now supporting this migration in spite of that 90% of those migrants are coming from Islamic countries. As you are saying, you know, they are, for them, a woman is like nothing for those men. You know, they're treating women really badly.
100%. That's why Viktor Orban is more and more, election after election, getting more and more support from the people. And I'm sure if you had a prime minister here in Germany fighting for these flags, likely he would be loved on the street. Because in the end of the day, people do not agree with this kind of policy because they are living the real life. And it's very different from the life that these woke people, the social engineers, that they think to build the society, and how can they stop people like Viktor Orban to increase here in Germany, in France, and whatever? If they do censorship, if they stop your party, if they stop your voice.
Exactly. This is a very interesting idea because, of course, people, ordinary people, they would, I think, immediately vote for somebody like Viktor Orban here because this is exactly, he is fulfilling what the ordinary people need. There are maybe 5-6 needs. You want a security, you know, you want safe streets. You want good education, safe job, good salary for the job, and good health care. Yeah, yeah, and that's it. In fact, and then good infrastructure, and then so. But the most of the time here in the German Parliament, we are not discussing those subjects. We are discussing, you know, questions of minorities which are put on us somewhere from the media, you know.
Toilet bathroom for transgender.
Exactly, we are discussing if we need 3 or 35 toilets for all the genders.
It was a priority in the people's life.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, you know, how...
But then they have to build a narrative to shut up voices like yours.
Of course,
you know.
Course.
So they come and say, no, I'm going to protect minorities. Homosexual people is under risk, so we have to shut down voices like yours, for example, that is saying that it's not a priority, you have a third bathroom. So this is what they are doing now, not only here in Europe, but also in Latin America and US. This virus is going all around the world, and we have to prevent our people from this virus, which means that we need to let regular and normal democracy goes up. People is going to listen, right-wing politicians, left-wing politicians, and in the end of the day, they will decide what they want.
No.
This is a regular democracy, at least what I
you are very close to hate speech.
So they created these things like, if you stop and think, 1 decade ago or 2 decades ago in the maximum, you do not have even the word hate speech, homophobic people, and things like that. They are trying to create all of that to have the perfect narrative to censorship you. Because they know that the old Marxism speech is not worth anymore.
Exactly.
Once the workers, they work, they have their money, and they buy a car, or they can have a vacation trip with his family, what he wants is work more, have more money, and give more comfortable to the ones that he loves, to their children and all of that. So no one is caring anymore about the old-fashioned Marxism style that, workers, let's go everybody together and build the rich future when everybody will be equal. they changed the strategy. If you see the Frankfurt School, if you see the Sawalinski and all of that, now it are coming the fruits of these decades of indoctrinations inside of college and the school.
We have an expression in Germany for that that says Marsch durch die Institution, march through the institutions. So they started in 1968 and now they are in all institutions and schools and universities, in the ministries, everywhere, in the media. You know, it's the biggest problem, in fact, in Germany are the media. Is it similar in Brazil?
Sure, yes. But before touching in the media issue, which is one of the most important issues that we have to learn with them, because they were patient and they had for decades
you mean
working
the
on
leftists?
that. Yes. So we have to do the same. Sometimes people come to me, Eduardo, you have to do a bill to stop the indoctrination in the school. Okay, we can work in that, but we cannot transfer for the others our own responsibility. If every father, every day, talk with their children, hey kid, what did you learn today in the school? If they take a look in the books, what they are learning at the school, if we do that for one generation, we are going to end with the indoctrination in the school. Because this is how I got, how my father did with me. And that's how, thanks God, I'm not a left-wing man nowadays. Because after school, when I arrive at home, I had conversations with my father. And sometimes in the school, they say, like the teachers, oh, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Mao Zedong, Stalin, they are great, they are heroes. And when I arrived at home, talking there with my father said, wait a minute, kid, let me tell you a little bit more better about history and all of that. So we have to do that. And but going back to the press.
But this is interesting. What was your father telling you about Che Guevara or Fidel Castro?
Because Cuba is not the paradise. Usually people, they even swim from Cuba to United States, but never from United States to Cuba to the socialist paradise. People cross the border from North Korea to South Korea, not the opposite. So only this fact made clear what you want to your life, where is the best life to live. And this is how my father was used to talk with me. But going back to the media, the left, they know that if they can go deep in the media, they can control a big part of your brain. So they bomb you all the time. For example, let's take the LGBT issue. All the time you turn on the TV, and you see LGBT, LGBT case, third bathroom, blah, 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 transgender, let's change the sex of the kids, all of that.
And you are occupied. Your mind is
Yes, then it becomes your priority.
Yeah.
And then you go deep into the sickness where it's not important anymore, your security, your education, your healthcare, but to solve the gender issue that they created. So it's crazy how they can do that. And people with good heart, sometimes they believe in all of this narrative and they start to think, oh, Bolsonaro's are against homosexual. There is nothing of that. What do I earn or what do I lose if someone is living together with men and women with women? I don't care.
But this is the same with us. The media, the leftist media are accusing us we would be homophobic as a party. And then I always say, well, yes, think about it. The homophobic party would elect in a secret election a lesbian woman for their head of the party, and not just once, but several times. It's not by accident. So this is exactly what we, as a liberal, I mean, in the European meaning of this word, liberal conservative party, we are saying this is personal freedom of everyone. This is something politics or the state should not regulate. What is your sexual orientation? This is nothing to be discussed in public. It's
and more than that, you teach it in the school. Not even homosexual or heterosexual things. If my kid is going to the school and she has 4, 5, 6 years old, why are you going to talk about sex to them? You have to teach the language of your country, math, chemistry, physics. This is what is going to make him or her a great, worker or a better son, a better daughter.
But again, we had a discussion for months, intense discussions in the whole society, in the media. about the law, which was about the marriage of homosexual couples. And then when it passed here in the parliament, it was in the main news in the evening, showing big celebrations that this law passed. And 1 year later, I found in a newspaper, very small news, it was just one column, and which was saying, after 1 year, this law is in power. In Germany, whole Germany, with population over 80 million people, just 4,000 people took the advantage of this law. And it was 1,200 in Berlin, 900 in Colonia, in
almost no one
Munich, four big cities, 1,000 each, plus minus, yeah? And that's it. The whole society was enforced to, somehow to be confronted with this topic for months. For what? For 4,000 people.
And then they let people who kill homosexuals jump into your territory.
Yeah.
What a great politicians, great politicians.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's just crazy. In Brazil, for example, when my father was president, we, inspired by US law, we made a lot of changes in the regulations about the guns. Mm-hmm. And we reduced it at that time. We made more flexible the access to guns. And we reduced it after the 4 years in 1/3 the amount of murders of Brazil.
Wow.
It was the biggest drop ever in murders numbers in the whole history of Brazil. Mm-hmm. And you know what? We were used to say, if you're a homosexual and you think you are under threat, I want you to have a gun and kill the guy who wants to murder you because you are a homosexual. If you, meet someone like that on the streets. I 100% believe that no one must be killed because the way that they do sex, it doesn't make sense. And what the left, the people who say that we are homophobic, what are their suggestions? Piece of paper written that you cannot kill people because they are homosexuals? It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work. So what I mean is we had way more effective policies to prevent people to get killed in Brazil, which we have a lot of criminality, and it worked.
It's the same with Italy when Salvini was Minister of Interior. They changed the law for self-defense, especially in Rome. And the first case after the law was applied was that the illegal migrant was trying to come into a villa, was trying to rob the villa, and the owner shot him, in the house. So it's a perfect example of self-defense. Yeah, but this is what the leftists, they don't want that the people can defend themselves. They want to keep it in the hands of the state. They want the control. It is one of the first things what the Nazis, what the National Socialists have done. Disarm the people. They said, okay, we have to control the weapons. And the communists also, that was the first thing, just give up the weapons. Yeah.
Every time, and it's the first thing that Lula da Silva, the current left-wing president of Brazil, what he did at his first day, when he was, during his inauguration, his first speech, he was saying that he was signing a new regulation about gun control. If you go back in 2003, at his first year as president of Brazil, back there in 2003, one of the first things that he did is about gun control. Mm-hmm. Because they want, it's usually say, gun control, there is nothing with security. Who apply the gun control policies, they want to control the society.
Exactly.
To make sure that no one is fighting back against any kind of dictator. Venezuela is the same. In Venezuela, you have a strong gun control. Mm-hmm. Who have the guns? What they say in Spanish, colectivos, mm-hmm. which are the groups, Marxist groups all around the administration structure that they support. Groups that invade the lands of the farmers, groups that invade buildings inside of the cities. So it's all the time the same very story. And the law in Brazil that Lula da Silva approved in 2003, it has inspiration in the law that the Nazis had here, mm-hmm. because it's not that everybody's forbidden to have a gun. The thing is, they have a subjective requirement, which it is you have to prove that you need a gun. So who is going to decide if your argument is good enough to you prove to you have a gun? Is a bureaucrat from the government. So this is the one who's going to say, oh, you are right-wing conservative? No, you don't need to have a gun. Oh, you're left-wing, I think I like you? Okay, you can have a gun. So it's pretty much what happened here during the 30s here in Germany.
How is it now with the freedom of speech in your country? And what do you think? You have been at the CPAC, you have been discussing a lot of it with other leaders of the world. So what do you think is the global situation of freedom of speech and communication?
The thing is, in the past, we were used to have a way more rational debates about all the policies inside of the Congress. So the left, they changed their strategy and start to label your opponents as fascist, Nazi, racist, homophobic, whatever. So first, this is why the societies are getting polarized.
So they are splitting the society.
Yes, that's why. For example, how can I debate with someone that are going to call me as fascist? They don't even know what a fascist is. Because if they didn't know...
In fact, they are fascists.
Yes, that's right, right. But anyway, it's not working. Because, for example, in Brazil, we elected a president, my father, Jair Bolsonaro, in 2018, and he didn't spend not even $1 million in his campaign. It was historical, almost a miracle, the way that he got elected. But he was labeled with all of these things, racist, homophobic, xenophobic, and blah, 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 blah. So as this is not working...
But it's interesting that they are labeling everyone who is, in fact, populist was for the people there. It was the same with Donald Trump. It's the same with Viktor Orban. You know,
it's the same virus.
It's the same pattern in every state in the world.
But as they see that it's not working, for example, in Chega, the Portugal in Chega, now they are bigger. In Brazil, we are still big. Like somehow we don't have the president anymore, but our party, before 2018, we were 3 federal representatives. After 2018 elections, we became 52 in the House. And now we are 99, which made us the biggest party of the Congress. So, and somehow we don't have the president, but okay, this is another issue. So now what they're doing is, they have to use the censorship. They're censoring people. And in Brazil, this...
So did you get your Facebook account closed or shadow banned, or how does it work there?
Yes, they blocked during the 2022 elections more than 100 conservative profiles on Twitter. Only to give you one example.
How can you know?
And now we know because Elon Musk is showing to the American Congress how was the communication between the Twitter, the current X, between the Twitter and the Supreme Court. So there
was a communication between the Supreme Court of Brazil and Twitter as a company? Before the election?
A justice of the Supreme Court, his name is Alexandre de Moraes. He was also the president of the Superior Electoral Court. And he was giving orders for Twitter, which is under Elon Musk property, to block users. I'll be honest with you. Only 2 users, they were not conservatives, but they were criticizing Lula da Silva. That's why. It was left-wing criticizing left-wing candidates.
So, in fact, he asked to switch off all the critics of the Lula.
Yes. Under a punishment of about 20,000 euros daily. For example, if Elon Musk do not block users, every day he will receive a fine of 20,000 euros. Imagine plus more than 100 users.
Okay, but how did they explain this approach?
They didn't explain.
Oh, come on.
They gave the decision. Now we can see, finally. Because at that time, the orders were coming from the Supreme Court, and the blocked users, they don't even know that it was the Supreme Court censoring them.
This is unbelievable.
Because the message that was appearing, it was like, you are tweeting, for example, or you're posting something against our internal policies. Because the judge, Elon Musk is saying that, the justice from the Supreme Court, he was telling for Twitter, do not let the users know the orders were coming from the Supreme Court. And this is crazy because it's previous censorship.
In fact, the judges from the Supreme Court should be charged because they were breaking the law.
Yes, and
But there is no authority which could charge them. Yes, they are the Supreme Court.
This is a problem now because even knowing that it's coming from the Supreme Court, to where or for who are we going to appeal? There is nothing to do. And the second thing now, as the case is inside of the U.S. Congress, everything that we are talking about, this scandal in Brazil is new as Twitter files Brazil. As now is in the U.S. Congress, American company outside of the United States, they have to obey the local law. And as you said, when you're blocking users not following the due process of law, you're breaking a law in Brazil.
Yeah.
So they can be charged, not only Twitter, X, but also the other social medias. So this is only the first step. The next step is going to be, we have to ask Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Google, were you also receiving these orders from the Supreme Court, and were you obeying the orders?
For sure they have. It's the same in Germany, even Twitter and TikTok, all of them. My TikTok account was completely deleted after I posted a critical speech, and they even didn't answer why they deleted it. So it's the same. And afterwards we were asking in the headquarters in China, and the Chinese headquarters said, well, Mr. Bystron, you spread speeches which were critical against the government, so you will not get your account back.
Your opposition.
Opposition. I don't know what should I do else than criticize the government.
But it shows exactly the level that we are. Because sometimes you could think, oh, these are TikTok. These orders are coming from the TikTok from China.
No.
And no, it's in our own country. See, the level that we are, like we have authorities in democracies censoring people like dictators.
Yes.
There is no difference. What is the difference? There is no difference.
We have a democratic framework, but it was inside really deviated. Even what you talked before about there is no strict separation of legislative and judicative. The head of our Supreme Court is a member of CDU, so it was at the time of when Angela Merkel was chancellor. He switched. He was member of parliament, and one day he was member of parliament, so legislative, and next day he became a judge on the Supreme Court. So one day switch, and 2 years later he became the head of this court. And he was a very close friend of Merkel. He is on posters. He did the campaigning with her, saying like "Together Successful." And this is now together successful. The one in politics and the other one on the Supreme Court.
That is it.
So we know
things like that too.
What will happen when we as opposition go to trial. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but we know that if we go to the last station, to the Supreme Court, that is somebody sitting who did campaign before with our political opponents saying together successful. Yeah.
In Brazil, we have now a justice of the Supreme Court that it was the Justice Minister of Lula da Silva. He got one of his ministers appointed, and the guy was approved in the Senate, so now he is a member of the Supreme Court. And he proudly said that he's a communist.
Wow. Incredible.
Tough times. We have to resist and switch all of that.
Yeah, but how are you fighting? How are you fighting? How is your father doing? I mean, your father was very popular. He was very famous. Now he is, I think, even prohibited to run for the president again. Maybe you can explain it.
Yes, he was declared non-eligible for the next 8 years. Wow! So he can run again only 2030. For sure, in favor of democracy,
Okay. This is democracy. It's like in Venezuela.
Yes, but you are right. You are right, because In Nicaragua, we have a dictator. His name is Daniel Ortega. This guy was so dumb. He arrested 7 of his opponents. That's why he got re-elected in Nicaragua. So Maduro was a bit more smarter.
Okay.
He did not arrest their main opponents.
He just prohibited them to run.
Yes. That's what happened in Venezuela.
Okay.
Happened in Brazil. And it's what they are trying to do in US against Donald Trump. You know?
Exactly.
Because it shows more, it's more not that aggressive than when you send someone to jail. If you send someone to jail, you clearly see that, okay, this is a dictatorship. When the opponent, when they cannot run,
there must be something.
Yeah, politician, let's see, what is that, you know? So they're changing their strategies. But anyway, my father, he was the first declaration that he received that he cannot run is because he had a meeting with ambassadors when he was president. And he invited also for this meeting the president of this electoral court that we have in Brazil to explain how was the election system in Brazil. And he criticized some points of our electoral process.
Okay, in front of the ambassador.
That's why.
You see, the same like with me. He was criticizing the government.
Yes, pretty much. He was criticizing the system. So this was considered, this is anti-democratic. Doesn't matter that you do not have a law with the definition of what is anti-democratic. And they turned him non-eligible.
There is
But we have a hope that next year, this electoral court, the judges are going to change. And then with new judges, more balance, we can
there is a change
overturn. We have a rope that we can overturn because he can run in 2026.
And you think he has still chances because after such a long time, people will forget him?
We have to see how will be the electoral process. We have some stuff to work in that too, but this is an internal issue to bring more transparency to our election, because nowadays in Brazil we use machines and we have to trust 100% in the machines. But this is other issue.
Dominion machines? Who is producing the machines?
Not really Dominion. In the past we had other famous company called Smartmatic. Nowadays it's not really that. But despite all of this problem with the machines that we use to vote, the thing is, my father, if you see on his social media, you see that everywhere he goes, even to left-wing states, there is a crowd of people together with him. A crowd of people. So
he is still very popular in Brazil.
Not a president anymore, non-eligible, no money, nothing, and the crowd.
Is he campaigning or what is he doing?
No, he go for a meeting with farmers. He go for interviews. Like every week he's traveling to some state because he receives invitation from everywhere. He's not campaigning because he cannot run on 2026. But anyway, people is always showing the support.
But if he is so popular, then even the question about the election fraud is more substantial than in other days. You know, already Stalin said it's not important how the people vote; it's important who is counting the votes.
100% right. 100% right. And this is the question that people do. Okay, if this is the amount of people that go to the streets in support of the second place in the elections, where are the people supporting the first place? And there is nothing. It was even funny because when Macron, the president of France, when he went to Brazil, there was in the agenda that Lula da Silva was going to walk around São Paulo in the main avenue of São Paulo, we say Paulista Avenue, together with Macron. And in the last minute, they canceled this program.
Why?
Ask them. I'm sure that the people would criticize, boo him on the streets. He never goes to the streets. Lula da Silva, the president of Brazil, he goes to the streets only, he doesn't go to the streets. He only goes to controlled places where they know exactly the kind of people that is going to be there. This is the left-wing democracy that we have. Maybe people would boo Macron too on the streets.
So let's close our discussion. We started with CPAC. Let's close it with CPAC. You are going to host CPAC in Brazil next year, I think?
Yeah, since 2019, I organized the CPAC in Brazil. This year, we are going to do the CPAC in the south of Brazil, in a city called Balneário Camboriú, which is right next to a very famous city in Brazil called Blumenau. Famous because they are very proud that they have the biggest Oktoberfest outside of Germany.
I'm not going to promote this because I'm coming from Munich. We have the best original Oktoberfest in the world.
But it's very funny because you have not only Germans, you have a lot of huge Italian communities, even Finnish and some other European countries communities over there in the south of Brazil.
So whom do you expect as a guest? Will you have Donald Trump? Will you have...
No, I don't think Donald Trump is going to be there. Maybe a video.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But we have invitations from my father. My father confirmed. We have invitated also Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, and some other authorities all around the world. We have friends from Vox Party from Spain, from Chega from Portugal, and also a lot of the authorities in Latin America. Eduardo Verastegui, who produced the film Sounds of Freedom, will be there too. He's a very close friend. And all the conservative people of the Americas will be gathering there in July.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
I have you visited us, and I hope we see each other next time very soon.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.